Okay, aloha. And as the longtime University of Hawaii rep to ASP, I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to welcome all of you to Hawaii and hope you guys have just a great time here. And I think it's just a different place, and I think you'll see a lot of different things here that you'll see other places, so really welcome. So today I'm just going to talk to you about some research we've been doing in the past years on growing vegetable crops by various non-circulating hydroponic methods. So let us first talk about lettuce. The first thing we're going to do is kind of show a model non-circulating hydroponic system. We have a plant in a net pot on the left side, and it's growing in a net pot. The bottom of the pot is placed in a body of water, in nutrient solution, and it's automatically watered by capillary action. As the crop grows, more roots grow. We have a large moist airspace developing. The crop roots go into the water. And during all of this process, electricity pumps or wicks are not used. And all the nutrient solution is added before the crop, at the time you plant the crop. So you don't have to add water as you go along. So you put all the water and fertilizer prior to planting. Now, in the simplest system, the system we teach kids, first graders, matter of fact, I was just teaching some fifth graders how to do this the other day. Take a 4-liter bottle and place a net pot in there, start a lettuce seedling in there, and then I tell the students, just fold your hands and do nothing for 6 or 7 weeks, and 6 or 7 weeks later, most of the water is gone and you've got lettuce to eat. It's very simple. So in actual practice, here we have a Gatorade bottle, and we put 5 or 10 grams of a hydroponic fertilizer here, a complete hydroponic fertilizer in there. And then we use some sort of a net pot, or we can take a forestry tube that has some holes in it, some sort of a net pot, or we can take some sort of a seedling block, like we have a foam seedling block, and place this in this bottle of water. And we put aluminum foil on the outside to darken it, otherwise we'll get a lot of algae growth. Well, the bottom of this block is in water, so it's automatically watered. And so you don't have to do anything else. You just sit there and wait, and lo and behold, wait 6, 7 weeks, and you have a crop. And Bill, you may recognize this is Penn State. And when I was there, my niece came to visit me, and she's holding a lettuce that we had started. We just placed the seedling in the pot. We didn't add any additional water or fertilizer. The lower roots gathered the water and the nutrients. The upper roots gathered the oxygen from the moist airspace. So very simple. So we got a brilliant idea. We said, well, if you can grow 1 plant in 1 bottle, gee, maybe if we had a bucket, you could grow 3 plants. And sure enough, it worked. And by golly, that's what happens. So the next thing we did, well, could you grow this commercially? Could you grow this in a tank of some sort? And here we have a tank where it was a wooden tank. The sides of the tank are wooden, and we use a extruded or expanded polystyrene top cover. You have some sort of a top cover, have net pots in the nutrient solution, and sure enough, you start with seedlings, maybe 2 or 3 week old seedlings, and in about 30 days from transplanting, you've got your lettuce, and most of your water and fertilizer is gone, and you harvest and you start again. So in actual practice, we have here some 2 foot by 8 foot tanks with styrofoam cover, expanded polystyrene cover on it, and they're growing in net pots. So it's just in the styrofoam is supported by the tank frame. Here's a grower. What he did is to grow seedlings in oasis blocks, and then as the blocks started growing, he separated them out. So this way he could transplant 2 or 3 week old seedlings. So he would have less time in his growing tank. And he also could use a net pot like this that's just filled with regular potting mix, regular growing, a peat perlite type of growing medium. Now, this guy has various crops in this greenhouse. Most of his tanks are about 8 or 10 feet long, about 3 or 4 feet wide. And he has crops in different stages, and he sells to restaurants. He has various different markets. So Here he's got a red lettuce, and he's got some green lettuce, and various kinds of lettuce. So he has a pretty good commercial business. Well, this is an interesting gentleman. He was a carpenter by trade. And to save money, he didn't want to spend money on styrofoam or expanded polystyrene, so he took some weed cloth. You may know what black weed cloth is, weed fabric. And he stretched it over a frame just like a artist would, and then burnt holes in and put his net pots through those holes. Now his tank is very, very extravagant. If you look carefully, it's made of a wood frame holding it up. He has some old roof iron, and then lines it with polyethylene, and got 2x6 lumber on the 2x6 on the ends and 1x6 on the sides. Very simple. So a lot of these systems can be very simple, and yet they can grow gourmet quality lettuce. Now here's another grower that took pallets, wooden pallets, and he kind of cut them off, put cross bracing on, and that became a sort of a table. And then to make the tabletop, he took some old roof iron, that we use around here. After the roof has leaks in it and so on, he got some of this roof iron. He has a tabletop, and then put boards on the side, lined it with plastic. You have a tank, gourmet quality lettuce. All the water in up front, no electricity, minimum water use. We can grow a head of lettuce on a gallon of water. Now, when we use top covers of styrofoam, this actually is extruded polystyrene. They can bend, so we have a solution for that. We just put a pot underneath it. Another plastic solution, a plastic culture solution to a plastic culture problem. Right, Bill? Okay. And here's a grower who's been growing for quite a few years. He's probably been growing almost 20 years. He originally was a liquor distributor, and he got into the grocery stores and found out he could get very good prices for gourmet quality lettuce. He uses plywood top covers and has forestry tubes. He was using forestry tubes. I'm not sure what he's using now. Now, all of this, the fertilizer for all of this, we make stock solutions. We have stock solution has calcium nitrate, and the other one has ChemGrow 81536 and magnesium sulfate. So this costs about $100 for these two stock solutions. We can grow about 5,000 heads of lettuce with that. That's about 2 cents a head. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, let us now go to cucumbers. This is a Gynoecious parthenocarpic variety. Everybody knows what that is. These cucumbers were grown. There's a tank down there, and a wooden tank with expanded polystyrene top cover. And Bill, there are soda cans, not beer cans. There are soda cans. And they're growing cucumbers in the soda cans. He maintains about 2 inches of nutrient solution in there. And we've got as much as 15 pounds of cucumbers out of a soda can. Here, the other way we grow it is in a trash barrel. We take a forestry tube, put a forestry tube in the trash barrels just so the bottom inch touches. The plant grows beautifully, and it just beautiful root system develops. It'll take the water down to about maybe there's only a couple inches of water. So you can start with 30 gallons of nutrient solution and pull 10 pounds of cucumbers out of that, and you don't have to add any water, fertilizer in the process. And the beauty is we found a wonderful byproduct to this whole cucumber growing system. We found that we can grow beards with this. And this is Mike Orzlik, who found that he could use the roots for a beard. We also can grow tomatoes, and this is a little system that I have at home. I bought there's a cement tank there, a cement mixing tank on the bottom, probably 3 foot by 2 foot cement mixing tank, and I put, oops, what did I do here? Put a cement mixing tank, put some expanded polystyrene on the top, put some pots, some sort of a net pot, they call them accelerator pots, and keep 2 inches of nutrient solution in there, and sure enough, I grow, happens to be a yellow variety, small variety. In this case, we have tomatoes growing in 4-inch pots, 10-centimeter pots of perlite. Now, they have 5 centimeters, 2 inches of nutrient solution. These are sitting in 2 inches of nutrient solution. The ones on the left are sitting on an upside down tray. The ones on the right are sitting on the bottom. The ones on the right don't look at, well, okay, excuse me, that's your left. Yeah, right. Well, who's right? Yeah, that one. The one, yeah, that right. Okay, sorry about that. The only way I know, I have a finger missing on my right hand, and that's how I can tell the right and left. So anyway, sorry about that. So I digress. The point is that the upside down tray works better because there's more airspace. Just like the airspace was so important to the lettuce, it's also important to the tomatoes. Now, tomatoes can grow in cans. Sure enough, they're growing in those cans. And they can also grow in pots, and these pots are sub-irrigated with 2 inches of nutrient solution. There's a drip tube that maintains that's connected to a float valve that feeds those pots of media. Here we have a sort of a sausage type. There's a 2x10 lumber that's supported by blocks, and on top of that is a tank, which is a 2x6 tank. Then there's a upside down nursery tray with net pot with 4-inch pots on it, and it sits on top of a screen. And we can grow pretty good plants with this as long as we keep 2 inches of good nutrient solution in there. Let's move to another crop that a lot of you probably don't know much about, which is watercress, a very nutritious crop. Here we have our guys are filling net pots up with growing medium. And we have a very elegant planter for watercress. We took a test tube and drilled a 5/64 hole, which is our second drill in your drill set. And we just sprinkle this out like salt. So you can sprinkle about 10 to 20 seeds per each pot. And then we don't even cover these. Now, in this particular case, there's a tank that this extruded polystyrene cover is floating. And you got to use the extruded polystyrene cover because all the cells are uniform. If you use the expanded type, you have cracks and so on, and it gathers water. So you take an extruded polystyrene cover, which will float, and the bottom of the net pot will gather water. It will wet all the media. The seeds will germinate, and so again, you don't have to do anything. You just let the water go down. Now, the one on the right is suspended. The one on the left is floating. So they grow both ways about equally well. I think the floating one is probably slightly better. And on the back, there's pretty good watercress growth. That's what watercress looks like probably about 6 weeks after seeding or so. And our technician here is gathering it up just like your barber does when he cuts your hair. He gathers it up and just kind of cuts it off. And happiness, if you haven't found out what happiness is in life, happiness is our ag techs who have just finished harvesting watercress. That's the definition of happiness. Let's move to ginger, which is a rhizome crop. Here we have a pot and pot and pot system, and I'm not stuttering. We have an upside down pot in a pot with holes in, and that will conserve media. We want to use as little media as possible, and we put this in a no-hole pot, a pot with no holes, and sub-irrigate the no-hole pot. So we maintain about 2 inches of nutrient solution in the system. So here in June 27th, plants are growing right along. By September, they're growing so they're growing so well, they actually broke the pot. It takes a lot of pressure, a lot of hydraulic pressure to break a pot, but they actually broke the pot. Oops. And by golly, by December, the pot, you can see the whole pot system there is 12 pounds. There's probably maybe about 8 pounds of ginger in there. So this system works quite well. The pots here are this system, in another system, the pots are sub-irrigated in 5 inches of nutrient solution. So we got a pot sitting in constant 5 inches of nutrient solution. And look at the beautiful ginger plant there. We have another system which we call it a sling. We have what we call a roll-out bench. We just take plastic sheet and we roll it out, bring the sides up, put some upside-down trays in there, and take another piece of plastic, with holes in it. And it could be weed fabric, it could be various kinds of plastic. And we have this rigged up so the ginger was just cut off, and the guys carry it just like they'd carry a body. It's sort of a gurney. And, oh boy, I got to move pretty quick here. And we got a bunch of ginger from that. And here we grew it in a tray. The tray was level with media, and we had a huge amount of ginger kind of grew up over that. We're growing taro. Well, I got to go quick. We have some tanks, which are nothing more than frames lined with poly, and there's October 20th, and by December the taro is growing wonderfully. Taro is a crop in Hawaii. Growing potatoes here. Growing potatoes in a 4-inch pot. Here it's growing in a 4-inch pot. It's kind of bursting out all over. Not a good way to grow potatoes, but it's a way. Here's another way we grow without media, where we wrap it in newspaper, make sure the newspaper touches the nutrient solution so it sub-irrigates itself, and we grew potatoes without media, without soil. And here's another upside-down pot system and upside-down tray system, and we grew all blue and red potatoes and Yukon Gold potatoes in a tray system, an upside-down pot system, and a system where we just have some paper towel. We just have capillary action. We have a model hydroponic garden concept where we take a garbage can that has water in it. The float valve keeps it full of water. It goes to another float valve so you have a 2-inch level, and the water then goes into a tank, and we put a bottom in the tank there, and we just put pots of taro in there. Lo and behold, we have taro growing in this system. So you could have taro in one of these tanks, tomatoes in another, beans and lettuce, whatever. You have different crops off the same system. And here's growing tomatoes this way, using that way. So anyway, we have more information. If you want to do a Google search on finding different ways of doing this, you can write this down, write these different ways of, you can find some more resources on growing non-circulating hydroponic methods. But what I want to say is we grew various kinds of crops by simple non-circulating hydroponic methods that didn't require electricity or pumps, and we used very minimal amounts of fertilizer, very minimal amounts of water, and we used maximal amounts of plastic. And that's all I have.